Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Building for Others podcast. It's a podcast where the guests that get on have to have AI that is used by real people, and hopefully we can uncover the build around how they built this stuff. So today, our guest is Yalif. He's the chief evangelist at Webflow. He's also a veteran entrepreneur, super impressive with 4 exits. He served as a marketer at Yahoo, Twitter, Brightroll, and his most recent venture was Intellimise, which was acquired by Webflow last year. Congrats, guy. We're really happy to have you on here. So to get going, first, how's it going? And second, what is the kind of elevator pitch on what you're going to talk to us about today?
Sachin Doyle, pleasure to be here with you. Excited that you are creating a podcast like this, focused on what's actually happening rather than the sizzle that happens in an
Mm.
afternoon, but things that are really working. And the motivation for this was to help elevate everybody's AEO fluency, this thing that we're going to talk about here because it came up all the time. My job now as a former CMO and CEO is to spend all my time out of market talking to CMOs. And more than a few months ago, AEO started coming up in every conversation. Now we'd say like, yes, of course. And we leaned in with some thought leadership, laying out an approach to it. And we created an assessment to bring that to life to people, for people to make it actionable.
And just really quick, for those that don't know, which I'm assuming is a very small group of people, what is Webflow?
Oh, thanks for asking. Webflow is an enterprise website builder that makes it really easy to build sites that are visually stunning, emotionally evocative, and engaging that build your brand and drive revenue through ABM personalization testing, coding optional.
And if you go to lvex.com, that is built on Webflow.
Built on
We're
Webflow.
grateful for that. That's awesome.
We migrated 6 months ago, something like that. Five. Time flat circle. So before we dive into like the specifics of this, which is very exciting, we like to do a lightning round of some quick questions. So the first one is kind of like a AI rose and a thorn. So what is something that you have done that you thought would really work and then it didn't? And then what is the opposite? What is something that totally surprised you and was surprising.
In trying to build this thing that we're going to talk about, I tried using some of the tools that are famously known for being easy to use to build things. I tried, if it's okay to name them,
No, go for it.
Love, Lovable, that had beautiful surface, nothing behind it. So I was like, okay, let me go to Make. That's supposed to be one level more depth. And at least for me at that time, this is like 6+ months ago. So all the products may be totally different now, but it didn't have enough flexibility. So I was like, great, let me go to N8N and I'll have even more flexibility. And I felt comfortable with the technical nature of it. And I couldn't get some of the pieces to connect. No shade on those products. They are wildly successful, and I'm sure they've changed a bunch since then. But for me to do this, I struggled with them. And the thing that went well, it's something that I stopped using because societally we're not there, but it worked beautifully. So you know how like when we're on Zoom, most of us assume we're being recorded, somebody's transcribing something.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
I got this thing called Pendant, which is like
Oh,
this big. You hook it on here. Oh, you know this, Sachin. And it records that same thing, but in everyday life. And I used it for a week, and it made enough people uncomfortable that I was like, all right, not yet.
well, so did you like disclose to people first, or was it like,
We're
what
in
is that?
California.
I tried both,
Yeah.
and I think Dan Schroecker, co-founder of Optimizely, who's founder of Limitless, which created it, is like he's phenomenal. I think this product is great. I don't think societally we're there. Day two, my 17-year-old daughter is like, I don't like you recording this, and I said, sweetheart, unprompted, you know what it told me yesterday about yesterday? She said, what? I said, it told me when you and your daughter were heading out the door to school or to the train, you could have shown a little more patience when the two of you escalated very quickly. She was like, oh, okay. So that was a joyful moment for me, not because we escalated quickly, but because I didn't think about AI helping me in that way.
Right.
Yeah.
I talked to some other people who were like, forget it, I'm using that right now. That's useful.
It's super interesting. A little bit of a follow up to that. now going over to the Webflow side, is there anybody on your team or at the company that's really surprised you around how they adopted or used AI that maybe you wouldn't have expected in any way?
I, surprised at the version of surprise that implies I didn't think they could do it or would have this creativity. No, not at all. But somebody who's doing amazing stuff. Our SEO AEO lead, Vivian Wong, is doing a bunch with AI. One of the things she shared more publicly is realizing that in AEO, freshness matters. The content machine's as hungry as ever. And she went and 5x'd the speed of us updating content,
Nice.
drove 42% more traffic. The traffic converted 14% better. Fine. But what did she use to do that? She worked with a tool called AirOps, where she was able to upload our brand voice, upload a bunch of data about our products, and then ask it to help refresh content that she then reviewed. Human was always in the loop. But to see the workflows that she put together and to watch it do that, or to watch it go say, oh, hey, here are the questions you care about or the competitors you care about. Here's what they're talking about on the pages SERPs point to. Maybe you should talk about this. Like that whole thing, I was like, this is useful.
That's amazing. Yeah, and I think it is like people that are in the weeds that like tend to be the most surprising in terms of how they're using it. Not necessarily that they would use it, but just the ways that they're using AI to elevate or accelerate or improve upon what they're doing. But now you've mentioned AEO, I don't know, 3 or 4 times, and I know we're here to talk about AEO, but like, what is AEO? Why is it important? Tell us a little bit about that. How would you explain it to a non techie?
We all spent the last couple of decades trying to have our content show up as one of the 10 blue links in Google. Why? Because people go there with intent. They click on one of those links and we get to engage them and ideally drive revenue. AEO is one of several names for the exact same thing in answer engines, LLM, generative, whatever you want to call them. We chose to call them answer engines. So when I chat GPT or Gemini or Perplexity or Copilot or Claude something, showing up there, that's AEO.
Yeah.
Why does it matter? Um, can I show a couple of things?
Show.
Yeah. I think that gets to the next is like what's different about it compared to the approach to SEO.
So I think it matters especially to marketers because it's a real threat to our brand control. Like if I go
Mm.
to ChatGPT and say, tell me about Elvex, tell me about Webflow, will it use our carefully crafted words that we've been working on for a long time? Maybe. Maybe it'll reformulate just into a bunch of features that leave out our core value prop. Maybe it'll confidently get it wrong or just leave us
Mm.
out entirely. And so, like, there's a real threat to our brand narrative. There's also,
In a way that's different relative to SEO, because with SEO, it is like reflecting directly your website. There's no like kind of like probability that it can go this way or that way.
thank you for chiming in with that. My bad for not saying it. You're exactly right. LLMs are reformulating our words. Google search was using our copy, our text, our website material unaltered. Well said. And so that's why this is a new thing. Um, Something that we've thought about forever is how do I drive more organic traffic? And in general, people have seen organic traffic dropping with the rise of LLMs. Not the headline grabbing 80, 90%, but like Bain did this study. This aligns with what I've heard from hundreds of CMOs.
Mm-hmm.
10, 15, 20, 25% in that range. But there's a silver lining to it. The traffic that tends to come from LLMs tends to be further down the funnel.
Mm.
At Webflow, Vivian actually shared 8% of our self-serve signups come from LLM source traffic as of a few months ago. That traffic converts 6x better than unbranded search. Not 6%,
Whoa,
6 times better.
that's crazy.
It's
Is that
bananas, and the industry data supports it. Ahrefs and SEMrush,
Yeah.
which you know, and if others don't, they are, the two that are the big leaders in SEO measurement, found that to be 4x to 23x. And I've not
Wild.
spoken to a single CMO who didn't say it was some level materially higher than unbranded organic search.
Is that because the answer that they're getting is generally like more robust than just the snippet that you get from, the top 10 on Google? If you get an answer from something in ChatGPT or something, there's generally like a lot of information there. And then you're making that decision of, yeah, okay, that fits. I'm still interested. I'm going to go there. I'm going to make a decision compared to like you get like 15 words in the title and then a little snippet underneath it in a blue link.
I think that's a big part of it, Doyle. I also think then you get to refine, right? Like you have a conversation with an LLM in a way that none of us do with Google search. We might with Google Gemini, but we don't with Google search. Additionally,
Yeah.
we get to be more expressive. The average search query, when all of us learn to speak Google, 4 words long.
Hmm.
Average LLM query, as of a few months ago, it keeps getting longer, was 23 words long. So now you get this longer query. You have a back and forth. You've, in many cases, done a bunch of the research and thinking before you reach the website. By the way, for those who then think, oh, I don't need to put upper funnel content on my site anymore, totally disagree. You absolutely need it there. The LLMs need to crawl it. Some humans are still going to go there, upper funnel, like a significant portion of humans, especially for considered purchases, because they're going to want to hear your story told your way. Still, many will go further through the funnel than they could by just a few licks.
Hmm.
Did that land?
So are you thinking of AEO as not necessarily replacing SEO, but maybe it being just a different part of the funnel?
I actually think the way to think about AEO is that it is close to what good SEO always should have been.
Hmm.
Genuinely valuable original content gets rewarded because the LLMs have the longer queries, the back and forth. They can see when you bounced and came back from a site. Okay, Google search can do that too. Two of them now have browsers. They can see how long you spent on a site. They have more signal than Google search does. I'll just say Google, and I mean search, not
Yeah.
Gemini. Um, than Google does on what is high quality. And so, like, I've heard folks say, I heard an unsubstantiated at one conference, hey, this Fortune 500 CMO fired his or her entire SEO team because they're doing AEO now. Whether or not that actually happened, I could not disagree more. Like, that is your SEO team is your AEO team. Your SEO agency is your AEO agency. And looking at millions of sites on Webflow, looking at the work Vivian team had done, spending countless hours doing research, talking with a bunch of fellow experts, I invite people to think about the migration from expansion from SEO to AEO in 4 categories. Content, where you're going basically from keywords to answering questions to ensuring it's relevant through personalization. Technical, where on-page SEO still matters, but now you are just like the early days of Google, giving LLMs additional info on the meaning and structure of your site. Schema is one of the more important ways to do that and do that on a fast site. Authority, backlinks still matter, but now popularity in the form of widespread mentions of you are more important and they should point to engaging experiences. And finally, measurement, keyword ranking, like it just doesn't exist when it's a paragraph of reformulated text. So you look at mentions, you evolve then to looking at share of voice and to what we just said earlier, sentiment, which didn't exist in search
Yep.
because it was our words.
Hmm.
Amazing. So clearly, AEO is something that all the CMOs you're talking to are reckoning with. What's Webflow doing about it?
We are making it easy for them and their teams to build websites that are AEO optimized. Humbly submitted, I genuinely, objectively believe we're the best place in the world to build a site if you care about AEO because we help you create on brand, on voice content. We have true AI based one-to-one personalization. That's the company I happen to have co-founded and CEO'd. We are the only place I know of that will auto generate schema, which is, you guys know, but metadata that humans won't see, the machine will. It's a made up system that Google, Bing, Yahoo, Yandex, and others came up with, where you're like, here's a blog page, here's a
Hmm.
profile page, here's a product page. We auto generate that. We auto generate sitemap.xml. We auto generate robots.txt. We support LLMs.txt. A whole bunch of things that help people do this well. And we're super fast globally in 330 different cities. We make it really easy to create. Our bread and butter has been visually stunning, emotionally evocative sites. That's a signal of authority. And finally, we give you in context as you're building content and experiment analytics that help people optimize the site for AEO.
Awesome.
And
Yep.
we created this framework,
Yeah.
made up 5 different levels for this rubric, and put that together, the 5 levels, the 4 categories, into what we hope, and now CMOs and practitioners and managers have said to us, is an actionable framework that CMOs can use to structure and measure the progress of their team, that teams can use to say, here's the next thing I'm going to tackle, the next thing I'm going to tackle. Uh, there's an awful lot behind this. And so to make it actionable, we wanted to create a way for somebody to just put in their domain name,
Yep.
and we will go do some work on the back end from what you can see just from the outside on their site, off their site, LinkedIn, Reddit, Quora, a whole bunch of other places, and share back with them, hey, we think LVEX is, I'm going to make it up, level 3 structure because you're level 2 content, level 4 technical, level 1 authority. I'm making all this up, and this level of measurement. And therefore, we humbly suggest here are the next things for you to go after based on what we could see from the outside.
And so this is what you and the team built recently, or maybe even just you built recently. And we want to get into the specifics of this. Understand exactly why AEO matters, have a good reason for why you guys need to not just like say we have the product to optimize it, but like here is the framework you can use to evaluate yourselves. Can you show us like an example? What is that like? What is an example of an assessment here? And then let's get into how you built it.
Sounds great. Happy to. Um, if you want to get one, completely unrelated to Webflow, it applies no matter where you are. You can go to webflow.com/AEO. That'll redirect you here. And we invite you to then come say, hey, I want an assessment. Click submit. And a few minutes later, you're going to get an assessment like this one. This one's made up, but it would say, this is not actually Confluent's real thing, but you're a 2 out of 5, by the way, in this rubric. So far, anecdotally, I'm actually going to go run it to get the real data. 1% are 4s, 10% are 3s, more than half are 2s, and a large minority are 1s. So this 2 is not a bad score at all. Like
Okay.
this is early innings for
Good to
all
know.
of us in this made up one. Here are the
Yeah, we
top three
like that.
things
For
we think
those
you
who
should
had
do.
parents that obsessed over the report cards, they will be happy to know that.
Well, and the silver lining of that not being the parent obsessing over a report card is that it's early innings.
Right.
It's a new medium.
It's
Folks that
dynamic.
take
You don't have to like stay at two.
yes. And unlike SEO, where you have to claw tooth and nail to go up one rank, example, 73% of websites that are cited by Google on the top page have schema. 88% of sites do not have schema. There's so much opportunity sitting here. And we hope this is an actionable way to go after it so that you would say, oh, hey, your content is a 3. Here's what we see. Here are the 3 things we think you should go after. We think you answer 75% of the questions we could guess people ask about your content. Technically, this is what we see. Here are 3 things we suggest you go after. We see schema coverage on 61% of your pages. And here's authority, and here's measurement. And so our intent was to help people get found in LLMs more often. Not
Yep.
because we have inside baseball secret sauce on LLMs, but rather there are some things that you can do to go help LLMs cite you and cite you more positively and more accurately. And we wanted to make that more easily accessible.
You
And
have secret
maybe
sauce on websites. So
Say that again.
you have secret sauce on websites. You spend all day,
We do.
every day talking to people who are trying to solve these problems. So
We
I
do.
would trust
And by the way,
Webflow as
this
like
is a
a
Webflow
source.
website, this page.
of course it is.
Yeah.
And probably by creating something like this, you guys are going to rank higher when people search about AEO inside of an LLM.
It's a
Interestingly, these
plug.
pages are no indexed because we wanted this to be somebody's
Oh.
own stuff. But this page is absolutely crawlable. And we just launched it earlier this week, an AEO ebook. We have a state of web maturity of the web, which we publish every year. And this, we hope, just really helps elevate the conversation.
Okay, now I got to ask, what is webflow.com when you run it through your assessment?
It's a 3.
So
It's a
there,
3.
there
It's
you go. To
not in
your
that
point. Yeah.
1% of fours.
Yeah. All right. So obviously, you wouldn't be on this podcast unless you used AI to help you build this thing.
Yeah.
Can we peel back the curtain there? How did you start? Obviously, you had this idea of creating this assessment. How did you take it from there all the way through to fruition?
It happened that together with another teammate, we brainstormed the idea of this model, the rubric, the whole idea of doing an AEO maturity assessment. I created it over a weekend and then got really a whole lot of people expert help in. Cool. That's the 80, well, at the time it was like 10-page document and then kept growing. This, the prompt and stuff I'll show you, it happens. That was me. That was like one person who coded long time ago could do. This beautiful thing is a whole bunch of other people. This is our design team. This is people doing regular code to create this. They weren't coding in English like I was. And then the connection to Marketo and the campaigns and the form, like that's normal markups. And so it's this piece that is the assessment
Hmm.
that was LLM based. And we started with, okay, we've got this. And I spent a bunch of time with ChatGPT and Claude having a lot of conversations on how would one structure this. I think this is important. I've got data on that. I have countless hours of discussions and tried to shape then what a prompt might look like. As is often the case, I found Claude a little bit more helpful when I was talking about straight code and
Hmm.
created V1. V1 was this doc over to the right that was 600 lines and a bunch of instructions asking the LLM, go crawl the site, go look off the site, execute the whole prompt, calculate these metrics, do this readout, create these summaries. And it produced things like this. This was a PDF that would auto generate. This is the same content. It just doesn't look as great as the other one did, but I could do it on my own. I
Right.
could just go do this. And
So
uh,
this was really your kind of like MVP. Will this thing produce something that's valuable?
yeah, and it was genuinely useful to people. So we were like, great, let's keep leaning into this. If it wasn't useful, we'd go lean into something else. And so this is V1. You know, our sales team then was able to go send these out. They would go put in Slack a domain. It would run through this, which is a set of steps. The real good stuff was sitting in here in this the prompt, and it would then give them back a PDF. Okay, that was V1. We then
And
said, hey, we
going back to that really quick, just to get into the details a little bit. So, like, it sounds like you did have to connect to some systems. These were
very much
systems
so.
that you had internally to like pull in prospect info. Like, what can you talk about how those
Oh,
connections worked?
we intentionally, so V1 had a not as pretty version of this page. Our demand gen and markups team set that up. That then would webhook into Zapier. And this was another way to do it. So that was somebody coming in and saying, I want one.
Yeah,
Sometimes our sellers would want to go out and
right.
share one. And rather than going to that forum, I said, hey, go to this Slack channel, AEO maturity assessments. Type in a domain name. This then would catch that, make sure it was actually a domain
Mm,
name. If it wasn't, we'd say it wasn't. If it was, go run this prompt. Turns out creating a PDF in Zapier and ChatGPT was hard. So I went to Google Docs where I, talking to ChatGPT, learned you can create a template of a doc and
right.
auto-populate that template with the things from this. That created the PDF we just saw. And so they would get back a message saying, hey, here's your PDF. And I used Zapier to connect all of those pieces together. And to your point, like the amount of extra time it would have taken to figure out the API to Slack, the API to, to connect to Marketo, to go access Google Docs, that probably would have caused this not to happen.
Right. You're just like not worth it to even test out the MVP here.
Because I want to spend most of my time in here, right? I
Right.
want to spend most of my time in this thing and everything that's hidden beneath this.
Right.
Yeah, so it wouldn't have been
Yeah.
possible.
We just last week we were talking to somebody who followed a very similar kind of process where it's like they built something internally for their team and they're like, this is gold. Can we bring this to the internet, you know, and see what happens then? So it seems like that's generally the LLM production process is kind of internal, scrappy, see if it works, prove it out, and then okay, this is great. Let's do it at scale.
And boy, do I like that process. Maybe I'm biased because, like you, fellow entrepreneur, but like we got to figure out whether this was useful with this much effort. Okay, this much effort from one person, but this much effort for the org, as opposed to like building a whole product,
Hmm.
running a bunch of focus groups, doing a whole bunch of like the focus groups were the hundreds of CMO conversations. So it's not like we went to an ivory white tower and thought this would be valuable. It came directly from market discussions, but we were just able to iterate so much more cheaply.
Yeah, yeah, completely. So what was next? Where to go from here?
I had continual ideas on how to make this more comprehensive, deeper, frankly, just do a better job of helping people. And so this is the table of contents for the 87 pages of prompt that are there now. And said, okay, how do we bring these to life? You put 87 pages of prompt into one prompt for GPT or any LLM, and you'll get gobbledygook out because you're
Yeah.
asking it
Hmm.
to do too many things.
Right.
And so I had this nice little idea that we would have something that would catch the Marketo form, the Slack, the batch spreadsheet, the Salesforce request. It would run an assessor for each one of these four categories: content, technical, authority, measurement, and then put it back together and read it back out. Nice idea. This is the reality. These are
Yeah.
all of the different things that have been that I built in partnership with others, right? It's touching things that other people built and created. And none of this would work without that. To go make this possible. And if you're interested, I'll go one level deeper on how the pieces fit together.
Sure. Go for it.
Yeah, definitely.
So you want to make it available in a bunch of places. So thanks to these integrations, it was easy to go from Marketo to I just grade over the details of the steps, but to a Zap or in Salesforce, our sellers can say, hey, I want an AEO assessment. Slack, they could say, I want one, and I want to be able to do a batch spreadsheet. And those would all go to this, the orchestrator. And the orchestrator would run through a bunch of logic that would say, hey, there was a little bit of cleanup admin help that was needed. And then should we do a new analysis? In here was like, did we do one very recently? Have things changed? A bunch of logic around that.
Hmm.
And if we didn't need to do a new analysis, we'd go down this path. If we did need to do a new analysis, I wanted later on, I baked in the idea of are we in production or are we in staging? Haven't built this one out. If we're in production, let's go launch the content assessor. Let's go launch the technical one, the authority one, the measurement one. And when they've all run, each with their own big prompts, and by the way, the next version will take those and break them out because I get better results when I'm playing in GPT on its own outside of this
Mm-hmm.
and I narrow them. Okay, they then go to a pre-summarizer, which pulls together a bunch of things. That then goes to the summarizer, and this thing calls the Webflow CMS. It populates a page. You get one of those. It
Bingo.
then returns back that URL to Marketo to send out an email, or to Salesforce for a seller to send, or to Slack, or in that batch spreadsheet. And so you get the output. And if you weren't creating a new one, then you would use this thing, which copies the most recent result over, and then go back to the summarizer to send it back out. And this actually isn't everything, but like when I started, I thought, oh, hey, like this is straightforward. And the reality ended up being this, and it kept being built iteratively, as I think so many AI things are, where you're like, wait, I need that data. Let me go connect there. Oh, this LLM prompt is producing gobbledygook now. How do I change that? Do I break it apart? Do I give
Right.
it better context and inputs and so on?
So it sounds like, it really sped up your process of going from idea to like an MVP where like you had something that you were confident could and would work, but then to take it all the way to like the end result required a decent amount of like real kind of technical work, or at least like orchestration around this stuff to get it to kind of the end result to be the level of what you're thinking about. And it sounds like you're not even done with that. Like there'll be a V3, maybe a V4 beyond that.
Yes, yes to everything you said. And if it weren't for this layer of what Zapier is doing, again, this wouldn't have happened. I would
Right.
have had to,
Mm.
right, the amount of engineering time this would have taken on something that we weren't certain would be valuable, that would not have happened. And so it was great to be able to do this and focus more on the core value being delivered rather than the delivery, the
Right.
value creation. And that made all the difference in the world. Here, I can stop sharing this screen. Um, in being able to come up with something quickly. And to your point about being able to go quickly, not only did it help in the early stages, even as we refined, I remember there were moments where another part of marketing would say, hey, wait, we need outputs this way. And you could see the look in their eyes of like, this is going to take a long time. Or I have to go through engineering. Engineering is great. They're just busy building the core
Yeah.
product. Our engineering
Yeah.
team is phenomenal. Our APD team is great. With this,
This
we
is
could
but
really
this is
do
such
that.
like a core thing to what we believe at Elvex, which is, the future is everybody becomes a builder. And it's not that they build things that are going to replace what your product and engineering team will do, but it allows everybody to do more, because you can do this yourself and you don't have to get, kind of like put into a priority list or bottlenecked by somebody else on the team or a group. And so this is like perfect example of that. I love it. Okay, this is live though. When did it go live? How's it doing? Like what can you share on that front?
We have run in 3 months like 3,500 of these.
Holy moly.
Uh, it's been genuinely valuable. It's been useful in discussions, and we keep learning and iterating along the way. It's literally, it's so rare to have a genuinely new medium in communicating with prospects. To have one, to have this be a valuable thing, and it to have the history of the early OOs and search as some inspiration, as opposed to like when social came around, we all were like, so what do we do with this? Here, there is some pattern matching to do. This is such an enabler. It is amazing to be able to run quickly with this, grounded in the customer with some technical knowledge rather than me, going super deep coding every day. I'm coding in
Right.
English. It genuinely feels that way. It's so cool.
And again, this is at webflow.com/AEO. Is that right?
That's exactly where it is. And
And
we're hosting some of the logic on Webflow Cloud, and we've got
nice.
Zapier helping connect some of the pieces, and the pages are hosted on Webflow in our CMS. So it's fun to dog food at the
That
same time.
that's amazing. And yeah, I guess like the final question we have is just going through this process yourself. Do you have any advice you'd give to listeners about how to how to do what you did, maybe things that you ran into, tips or tricks that you have to share with audience?
I know people say it a lot, but I hope it came through. This was so iterative. It was so empirical. It was, you know, if someone were to say, "Hey, how long a prompt is too long?" I'm curious what your answer would be. Mine is when it produces output you don't find good anymore. Not
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
predetermined thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes, you might talk about having it do one thing, but so much of this was, oh, wait, we need that. Oh, hold on, that would be valuable. Oh, we need this. Could we do that? And then the part that felt more like coding logic of breaking down problems and thinking how pieces go together was, oh, I need to pull this piece out. How do these communicate? How do they share memory? And there was a lot around that that is, I think, super hard for somebody not technical to do. And it's amazing to have systems like this that just let you run. So, sorry, the short answer would be expect a lot of iteration and expect the initial idea to be a minority of the time you spend. Getting it to production is a majority of the time.
But just dive in, right?
Oh my God, yes, because the, the amount of time and resource this took compared to a year ago, 2 years
Right.
ago,
Hmm.
unfathomable to be able to
Right.
do this quickly with this much resource.
Amazing. Well, Guy, thank you so much. Incredible story, incredible outcomes, more importantly. I can't wait to run lx.com to it and hopefully get better than it too. We'll see.
We'll
And
see.
if not,
I
you'll
don't
have the
know.
steps to get there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Actionable all the way through. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Doyle
Yeah.
Session, thanks for having me. Great to talk with you.